John Kelleher here, the historian of the town of Saratoga, and I run a Substack called Past Paths. And today I am here out in front of the Schuyler House. You can see we got a brand new um, bit of snow, and I want to tell you a little bit about what happened here at various historical times. And let me see, 1745, which would have been 200 and oh, I want to say 80 years ago. I think I'm about right there. Um, we had this attack that happened right here. It attacked the old Schuyler House in 1745. All these natives got attacked with the French, and they captured English. They captured a lot of African slaves that were here. And on this date, they made it up to about the Crown Point area. And they were bringing their captives back up into Montreal, the Gahi Wake area, which I'm sure I mispronounced, but it's the Mohawk town out there. And December, of course, brings its own type of momentum to us here in the upper Hudson Valley. The days shrink, the river edges kind of stiffen, and history begins to get a little bit closer. Now, we're preparing for the 250th anniversary of Henry Knox's winter journey, the epic noble train of artillery that heads right through our community in 1775 and 1776. And the town of Saratoga, along with Saratoga 250, we're serving as the base for a regional commemoration involving Warren, Washington, Saratoga, and Albany counties. Inside our town hall, our meeting room is going to be part of a transformation. We're going to have over 40 living historians from across New England and New York um, involved with us, and at least a dozen of them are going to put their bedrolls on our floors, their gear stacked across the walls. They're going to be spending the weekend right there. Um, and our volunteers will be up early Saturday morning cooking breakfasts and getting on a bus and heading up to Washington County. But things start a little bit earlier. On December 10th, I'm going to be joining, along with a lot of the Saratoga 250 folks, we're going to be joining the Daughters of the American Revolution, and we're going to be putting wreaths next to the Knox markers in Saratoga and one in Washington County. It's a quiet story, but it reminds us the route that Knox traveled in this lived landscape. It was steep, it was cold, but it was absolutely essential for the American victory in the American Revolution. And these markers have been up for now 100 years. They're testimonies that people are interested in this route, and they have been for centuries. December 11th, we start things off with a preview at People's Island. I'm going to be giving a talk to the DAR in Colony. And then on the 12th, living historians are going to welcome the Knox Assured up in Lake George at the Lake George battlefield. We're going to have some draft horses, and hopefully it'll be a bright day. You know, it's one of the most beautiful spots in the world. Thomas Jefferson had that great quote about Lake George. So I'm really looking forward to being there and being there with all the living historians. That night, there's going to be a reception. There's going to be a talk with historian Rick Atkinson. Rick's a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. He was all over Ken Burns' documentary on the American Revolution. And there's also going to be a performance with the Glens Falls Symphony Orchestra, and they're a very, very talented group in the area. I know I'm really looking forward to that. Then the 13th, as I said, we're going to start up in Fort Edward. If you're lining the main street in Fort Edward, you're going to see us coming right through. It's going to be great. And then we're going to go to the old Fort House. We'll have a gathering there. That'll be open. It's a beautiful historic site. And then at 1:00, we're going to cross over the Hudson River at the Dix Bridge. We're going to have the Linstock pass off between Washington and Saratoga County, and then Knox and the sleds and the draft animals and all the reenactors acting as teamsters. We're going to be all heading down the old Champlain Canal to Fort Hardy Park, and would love to have you meet us there roughly 1:30. Um, and then we're going to have Knox Fest set up, which is really going to be a great day. There's going to be all sorts of learning opportunities. We'll have demonstrations of cannons, a big bonfire, food trucks, songs are going to be sung. It's just going to be a great time. So you want to be there with your entire family. At 4 o'clock, we're going to have a candlelight procession. People are encouraged to bring lanterns. We're going to have it all mapped out with luminaries. Please bring your own candles or lanterns. Lanterns are best. If you want to bring a flashlight, that's more than welcome. We're going to go over to the beach park at Fort Hardy. We're going to fire 13 cannons. So if you live in Schuyler Island, be aware that there's going to be some cannon shot across the Hudson River towards Schuyler Island. And then we're going to get involved with the community Light the Star commemoration with the Friends of Fort Hardy Park. So that'll be fantastic. And then that night, there's a special concert down at the Mechanicville Arts Center on the Hudson, where the musicians of Malowick will be performing music from Knox's World. And it's going to be intertwined with first person's readings. So you definitely want to be there for that. There's special tickets. If you go to Saratoga250.com, you can get your tickets for that event. Then the next morning on the 14th, we're going to wake up. We're going to meet up in Waterford. We're going to have a little parade through Waterford to Soldiers and Sailors Park. At Soldiers and Sailors Park, we're going to lay a wreath and we're going to recommemorate the Knox marker there. Then we're going to continue on with our sled and our Teamsters. We're going to go right through People's Island and down the street in Cohoes to Van Styke Mansion on Van Styke Island in Cohoes. We'll have the ceremonial pass off between Saratoga and Washington County, the 250 commissions, and then there'll be some activities there. Later in the afternoon, a different group is going to be working at the Schuyler Mansion in Albany. It's a fantastic site, and they're going to have Henry Knox there. So it'll be a great opportunity to kind of visit there. Now, part of the reason I want to be here is that on this date in 1781, Philip Schuyler wrote to his son, John Bradstreet Schuyler, as he transferred the family estate here. And he told him, I resign to your care and to your sole emolument a place on which I have a long series of years bestowed much care and attention. I confess I should part with it with many severe pangs did I not resign it to my child. So Philip Schuyler is passing on to John Bradstreet Schuyler on this date in 1787, this estate, this house. So that's part of the reason that I wanted to be here with you today. So I really hope that you have a great day. I hope you can join us with our Knox Fest. I hope everything goes well up at Crown Point later this week, and then at Fort Ticonderoga over the weekend as we begin Knox activities. But I'm really looking forward to the 12th, 13th, and 14th, and I really hope you can join us here. I'm Sean Kelleher, and I hope you have a great day.